What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. This is Legitical Response. We cover political news. We keep you up to date and keep you informed with everything that the government does. Now, we're talking about Congress today because they passed a bill, y'all. They actually done something. Congress did some work and voted on some legislation, and it passed. However, it's probably not going to pass the Senate, and you know damn good and well Joe Biden isn't going to sign off on it. Check this out. House passes bill barring Federal Reserve from issuing digital dollar. Now, if y'all don't know what that is, that's a CBDC, or a central bank digital currency. I know you guys probably know about cryptocurrency like Bitcoin and you know there's plenty of others out there. I'm not too informed, I guess you could say, on Bitcoin and digital currency, if you will. But I do know that we don't want digital currency because that only gives the government an easy way to access your bank account and freeze your bank account, right? Like currently we have dollars. That's been the king for a long time. They always say cash is king, right? And that has been the way we trade in this country for a long time. Since before this country was even started, they were using coins and whatnot and all that other stuff. Now, they can't take that away from you, technically. Yeah, sure, like we saw in Canada with the trucker revolt, if you will. They froze their bank accounts. It's like, holy crap, are you serious? Do y'all live in a country? Anybody out there from Canada, let me know. Do you live in a free country? Now, as a matter of fact, anybody in America, do you think you live in a free country? No, you don't. If they can seize your bank accounts, you don't live in a free country. If they can constrain you from doing what you want, you don't live in a free country. If you can go out there and say stuff and get arrested for it, you're not in a free country. But like we saw in Canada, they froze their bank accounts. Now, with dollars, if we have some reservations about the government freezing our bank accounts, we can go before they do that and withdraw all that money and get cash. And there's nothing the government can do to stop you from spending your cash. Central bank digital currency, everything is digital, so it's all there all the time. You can't go to your bank and withdraw cash if it's digital, right? So this just gives the government, it's like, once again, it's one more step toward communism. They're doing this in China. You get a social credit system, right? Where if you don't follow along party lines, the Chinese Communist Party, oh, well, you lose your credits, if you will. You can't get any credit for anything. You can't go buy stuff from certain stores. You can't go places. You can't buy gas. It's outright insane. And we know that the world elites want to do that on a global scale. And central bank digital currency is an easy way to get everybody's money under control. They can control that so much easier than they can cash. They can't really control cash, if you will, because you can just get cash and go spend it wherever the hell you want to. Nobody says a damn thing. But let's get into the story right quick. The House passed a bill Thursday barring the Federal Reserve from issuing a central bank digital currency, or CBDC, unless it has explicit authorization from Congress. The CBDC Anti-Surveillance State Act passed the chamber by a 216 to 192 vote, almost entirely along party lines. So that means we had some Democrats actually vote for this, y'all. Wow. Probably more libertarian-minded Democrats, if you will. The move is largely symbolic, as the Fed has not put forward plans to issue a CBDC and has repeatedly emphasized that it will not move forward without congressional approval. There you go with the corporate press getting out in front of the narrative right quick and saying, oh no, they don't want to do this. No, not true. Janet Yellen has said this, Jerome Powell has said this, that they would love nothing but to institute a CBDC in this country and get rid of cash.
Not allow people to have accounts with the Federal Reserve. If what people want is surety of deposit protection, they can get it directly from the Fed or the federal government.
Well, we are considering, the Fed is considering, and the broader government is considering whether it could be desirable to have a central bank digital currency. That's quite a few years off if a decision were made to go forward with it. There are important pros, of which you gave one, and there are some cons with such a decision. So it's one that needs to be seriously analyzed. But it could be something that is in Americans' future.
They have said this. You can find these quotes online all over the damn place. We know that the central bank in this country would love nothing more than to have digital currency. It's so much easier to control, just like I got through explaining. So, once again, here we go with the corporate press getting out in front of the government, running cover for the government, instead of doing its journalistic duties, its fiduciary duties, if you will, to hold the government to account, to say, no, this is not true. We know you guys have been spreading rumors and talking online about implementing this very thing. So why are you now trying to say that you don't? I wonder why that is. What is the big deal with CBDC? Why is this such a bad thing to not allow CBDC? These are all questions I have for the corporate press. A CBDC is a digital version of a currency issued by a central bank. In the U.S., this would entail the Fed issuing a digital dollar that could be used the same way as a regular dollar. Not true. Absolutely not true. It can't be used the same as cash. You can't take digital coins with you and go somewhere. It has to be a digital transfer. And plus, you get out into the rural areas, and a lot of these places, they don't take digital currency. You can't buy stuff with cryptocurrency, for God's sakes. These people know that. And that the reason they do want a central digital currency is because they can't control cryptocurrency. They can't control Bitcoin and all these other digital currencies that we have out there. They don't control them at all. There's no centralized banking system for these. This is all done online. That's why I've never got into it. I don't like banks too much. Not at all. I like cash because cash is king. However, there are some good attributes to having a bank account, and I do have a bank account, but I don't keep my money in the bank. No, I keep a little bit there just to keep the bank account open, because I go cash my check, and if I need to pay something online, I can go deposit cash into my bank and then pay that online, and that's generally what I do. But for the most part, for my daily spending, I use cash. House Majority Whip Tom Emmer, who introduced the legislation, has argued that a digital dollar could give the federal government the ability to surveil Americans' transactions and choke out politically unpopular activity. That's right. That's like I was explaining with the social credit score. Yeah, there's a digital transaction for every single thing you buy, right? Like, of course, there is that also with cards. That's why I don't like cards too much. But they can do that to an extent with debit cards, but not nearly to the extent as they can with CBDCs. Emmer's views on the issue track closely with those of Trump, who has vowed to block the creation of a CBDC if reelected. You like how they just randomly throw Trump into this? Why? Why does the corporate press constantly, any single chance they get, they gotta throw Trump in there? Oh, Trump doesn't like this. Trump is in favor of this. Why? Why, corporate press? These are questions that I have for the mainstream narrative machine, for God's sakes. As your president, I will never allow the creation of a central bank digital currency, Trump, who is now the presumptive GOP nominee, said at a rally in New Hampshire in January. Such a currency would give a federal government, our federal government, the absolute control over your money, he added at the time. They could take your money. You wouldn't even know it was gone. This would be a dangerous threat to freedom, and he is correct. They could just take your money. If they don't like what you're doing, they could take your money. They could just freeze your account. It's all gone. Bye-bye. Look what happened with the trucker revolt up in Canada. For God's sakes. They even sanctioned the Give, Send, Go and GoFundMe accounts for some of those truckers. That's outright BS, if you ask me. I was blown away when I saw that. When I saw that Justin Trudeau went to that extent to freeze the accounts, the online accounts, the Give, Send, Go, and GoFundMe accounts of those truckers, right? Americans giving them dollars. Those accounts were frozen. That's absolute autocracy, if you will. authoritarian at its best. These people love the Chinese Communist Party. That's why they cleaned up San Francisco, for God's sakes. When Xi Jinping came down, they cleaned up all the poo. They made all the damn homeless people get up and pack their crap and get the hell out of San Francisco, because they didn't want their precious Communist Party leader to see what a shithole San Francisco has become. However, Rep. Maxine Waters, ranking member of the House Financial Services Committee, argued on the House floor Thursday that banning CBDCs directly threatens the primacy of the U.S. dollar. Now, no, it doesn't. It doesn't do that at all. There is nothing inherent about a CBDC that would compromise privacy. Who said anything about that? This seems to be some ad hominem attack. Like, nobody's arguing about privacy. We're talking about the government taking your bank account away, taking your money from you. Has nothing to do with one's privacy. The government can already do this to your bank account, for God's sakes. Has nothing to do with privacy. Has everything to do with the way we purchase things. The government cannot take your cash from you unless they raid your home and take your cash from you, which, if you get out of line politically, they're not going to come and raid your home. You will be sued into oblivion for that. Of course, you could say that you could sue them into oblivion for taking your CBDCs, but I'm sure going up against the federal government, yeah, that's not going to be an easy one to win. By the way, if you done something wrong, of course. That is a design feature that is within our control, she added. This bill, instead, an attempt to stifle U.S. innovation and competitiveness abroad and to undermine the federal agency that is the most critical to fighting inflation. How? Once again, Maxine Waters is an idiot, y'all. How does this do any of those things? How does not creating a CBDC, in other words, how does continuing to run the economy the way it's always been run undermine the federal agency that is in control of inflation? What the hell does a CBDC have to do with inflation anyway? Nothing whatsoever. It would be just another way for people to purchase things, right? If a CBDC could undermine inflation, or the federal agency in charge of inflation, then how come credit cards don't do that? Can anybody answer that question for me? Maybe I'm just being ignorant on this one. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not that well informed on Bitcoin, for God's sakes. But I do know that the government does not like Bitcoin because they can't control it at all. And Maxine Waters coming out on the side of the establishment tells you everything you need to know about Maxine Waters, and it also tells you everything you need to know about CBDCs. When the establishment comes out and says, "Oh, why are you trying to shut this down? Oh, well, this is a good thing. You're going to undermine the federal bureaucracy, for God's sakes." Huh? How? Why? Why not? Why creating something new? How is that going to undermine anything that the federal bureaucracy has been doing for the past 250-something years? How? Nobody can explain that one. But they will get up there on national television and to the corporate press and say that it's undermining democracy. Watch that. Watch. I bet you that somebody's going to come out and say this is a threat to democracy. Not having a CBDC is a threat to democracy, y'all. It's racist if you don't want to have central bank digital currency, for God's sakes. Yeah, they'll say you're a transphobe or something. I bet. That's the same argument that we're getting here. This makes absolutely no sense. Like I said, though, Maxine Waters is an idiot, so it's really easy to logically dismantle her argument, for God's sakes. But I think I've rambled on for long enough. I want y'all to let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comments section. Do you yearn for a CBDC? Do you even know? Do you even care about CBDCs? Let me know what you think about all this down in the comment section. That's all I got for this one, y'all. I want to thank everybody for watching, and y'all try to have a good day and stay legitical. Peace.